If the Vikings want to get their third straight victory this Sunday, they need to do this. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Coming up on today's show, I'm going to be going over what the Vikings need to do to hopefully celebrate their third straight victory Monday here on the channel. But before we dive into that, if you guys want the Vikings to beat the Texans, hit that thumbs up icon. I put the goal on today's show as 750 likes. So if you guys could, don't jinx it. Hit that thumbs up icon, and hopefully we are celebrating another victory Monday here on the channel. But let's first dive into the Texans side of things here. So the Texans are a fantastic football team, and especially on both sides of the football. Overall, PFF has Texans ranked as the sixth best team in the National Football League throughout the first 2 weeks. Offensively, they are ranked 10th. Defensively, 11th. Special teams, 8th. So across the board, very balanced team. It's not like one side of the football is so much better and the other side is not as good. They're balanced. They have stars. And I just want to go over quickly what, 5 things, in my opinion, make the Houston Texans great. And number one is C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud, and I think this is on me, I kind of just viewed him as he's a top 10 quarterback heading into this season. When he played like a top 5 quarterback last year, and so far throughout the first 2 weeks, he's played like a top 5 quarterback yet again. And the numbers don't lie with CJ. He's off to another great start. He just plays within himself. He plays within the offense. He doesn't turn the ball over. And he's a big body. He's a very physical player. And he puts great touch on the football. Everything you could ask for a quarterback, CJ Stroud is that. He is truly the perfect modern day QB. And he is a killer. He goes for chances. He takes the checkdowns when needed. He takes off and runs when he needs to as well. Every single box you could want checked for a quarterback, CJ Stroud, he kills it. And he is a truly top 3 quarterback in the league. I think you probably go Mahomes, Allen, 1 and 2. Honestly, I think it's undisputed right now. Those are my top 3 quarterbacks. Mahomes, Allen, CJ Stroud. He is fantastic. And, if the Vikings, if they don't slow him down and they let him get going, where he has a couple layups early in the game, maybe he has a couple, middle of the field throws to get him his confidence, he can really, he's kind of like a basketball player. If they see a couple threes go in, he's blacked out for the rest of the game, and he's playing with confidence, and he's putting that ball on the line. So Stroud is definitely one of the biggest things that scares me heading into this Sunday. But what also scares me is who the hell C.J. Stroud is throwing the ball to. Nico Collins, I raved about him during my preview, and I will not shut up about this guy until game day. He is fantastic, and he is only one part of the Texans, honestly great weapons they have. And I do include offensive linemen as weapons. Shout out to Jim Harbaugh for that one. But Laramie Tunsil, top 5 left tackle in the league. Joe Mixon, most likely won't play versus the Vikings, so will most likely be Cam Akers. Keep that in mind, but he's a good weapon. Then you got 3 unreal wide receivers. Stefon Diggs, he is the best number 3 receiver possibly in NFL history. Nico Collins, a true top 5 wideout in the NFL. And then you got the gadget guy. You got the deep threat in Tank Dell. All 3 of those receivers, they complement each other so well. Stefon Diggs is that possession receiver. He can create space in a phone booth. Nico Collins, that true X, that true physical receiver of that Andre Johnson, Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall build. And then you got the speedster. You got the gadget guy, Tank Dell. You can get him on jet sweeps. You can throw screens to him. You could just get him the ball in open field, and he'll make plays happen. This Texans team is loaded. And not only C.J. Stroud, not only the weapons, they got an elite defense. That performance they put on against the Chicago Bears this past Sunday night was unbelievable. They had Caleb Williams seeing ghosts throughout that entire game. They pressured him like crazy. And the stats don't lie with this defense as well. They're highly ranked throughout the NFL. Yards per game, they're 5th. Pass yards per game, they're top 10. Rush yards per game, top 7. Points per game is at 12th, but they also let up a garbage time touchdown against the Colts. So that should probably be a whole lot lower. Third down percentage, actually they do struggle a little bit there, only ranking 21st in the league. But from what I saw about this Texans defense, they are physical. They play fast. Yak will be huge for the Vikings this weekend. If Jefferson, Addison, if he ends up playing, or a guy like Jalen Naylor, if they can really, force a couple missed tackles, turn those 5-yard outs to maybe 11-yard outs, that could be a margin-getting victory for the Vikings this weekend. But, this Texans defense, they are legit, man, and they're going to make or at least they're going to try to make life hell for Kevin O'Connell and his coaching staff. But speaking about coaching staff here, I think the Vikings going into every single week will have a significant advantage in the coaching staff department. Not this week. This is honestly as even as it's going to get. They're just the opposite of the Minnesota Vikings. They got DeMeco Ryans. He's calling plays for the defense. He's their head coach. He's fantastic. Top 5 defensive play caller in the league. And then they got this young offensive guru, Bobby Slowik. He's their offensive coordinator. He's going to be calling plays for the Texans against the Vikes this Sunday. He will probably get a head coaching job, if not next year, then one of the years after. But, normally every week I'm saying the Vikings with Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, they have the advantage in terms of just overall coaching staff. But this week, DeMeco Ryans, Bobby Slowik, it's just going to be some of the most aesthetically pleasing football this Sunday. Like, it's just going to be high quality, and that's what I love watching. Like, obviously, I'm a diehard Vikings fan, but I also just love watching good football. And the Texans and the Vikings coaching staffs, we will be watching good football this weekend. But what also makes Houston great and very, very dangerous, and, we will talk about how the Vikings can win here in a second. Don't want to show too much love to the opposition here on today's show, but they are young and hungry. And if you just look at their blue chippers on their roster, they're all under the age of 25, man. Like Derek Stingley, already one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League. He's 23 years old. CJ Stroud, I feel like he's been in the league for 5 years. He's 22 years old only. Kamari Lassiter, he's 21. He's a dog. Will Anderson, coming off the edge, 23 years old. He's fantastic as well. Then you even got Nico Collins, in my opinion, a top 5 wideout in the league. He is only 25. These guys are young. They're hungry. They want to get after it every single week. And this isn't like a Kansas City Chiefs situation where, maybe the Chiefs are looking at the Vikings, a game in September. Maybe they won't get up for it too much. I promise you, everybody on this Texans roster will also be playing for number 14 or, now number 1 with the Texans, Stefon Diggs. So this is a hungry group. They're going to be getting after it. They're going to be ready. But, we will talk about how the Vikes can beat them here in a second. But you guys let me know this here first. Who is your favorite Vikings player of all time? Mine is Adrian Peterson. A dark horse for me is a guy like Sidney Rice, but I'm just curious. I ask you guys a lot of questions on our shows here at Chat Sports, but I'm just curious. Who's your guys' favorite Vikings player of all time? Let me know your thoughts down below. Coming up next year, how do the Vikings celebrate a 3rd straight victory Monday versus the Houston Texans? We'll talk about that here in a second, but first off, got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. If you guys download the Prize Picks app, use that promo code CONS. You guys will get $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's code CONS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. And the best part is you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Now, Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. And Prize Picks, unlike other apps, it is just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Now, they got a sweet deal going on for the whole month of September where 1 Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on Prize Picks. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football weekend in September. That is 2 more weeks of free W's, so don't miss out on this deal on Prize Picks because it is gone once September ends. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CONS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CONS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need the win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. So how do the Vikings beat the Houston Texans? Number 1 for me, you got to confuse CJ Stroud. That's very challenging. Stroud's a top 3 quarterback. We already talked about it. But maybe you have Stroud seeing ghosts this Sunday like Brock Purdy was this past weekend. As if you guys didn't see the viral clip, Brock Purdy went up to Brian Flores after the game and just said, first off, it was like, hey, good game. And then he was like, your scheme is crazy. Hopefully CJ saying the same thing after this Sunday. But, I think the Brian Flores effect is an under-talked about storyline across the whole NFL. And I think with all these quarterbacks coming out right now, the number 1 thing that I feel like GMs are looking at is potential. Like, there's a reason why guys like Anthony Richardson get drafted so high. Even a guy like Will Levis going in the first round, like these teams are banking on these big physical quarterbacks who are 6'4", 6'5". They can touch every blade of grass on the football field, but they lack in the processing side of the game. And that's where Brian Flores makes it so complicated, because he is showing you 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, 8 guys at the line of scrimmage. You don't know what the coverage is until you snap the football. And against most other defenses in the NFL, you can, motion a guy here and there. They'll adjust on defense, and you can, know for the most part what they are going to be running. Against the Vikings and Brian Flores, you have no idea what defense they are in until after you snap the football. That's why I think the Vikings defense has been so successful thus far, is because these quarterbacks in the league right now, I don't think they're as good as processors as they were back in the 2000s, back in the 1990s. And I think that's where Brian Flores has his biggest advantage against every quarterback on any given week. But, another way to slow down C.J. Stroud and confuse him, stop Nico Collins. This is the most underrated wide receiver in the National Football League, if not the most underrated player. He is 6'4", 215 pounds. He is already lighting it up so far this season with over 250 yards. He reminds me of Andre Johnson, Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, these physical wide receivers who, when they're running that deep post, if you're the safety trying to lay a hit on them, you're also thinking about the hit Nico Collins is going to lay on you. But I also do think the Texans wide receiver core is a little, misrepresented, as I think most people think, oh, they got a 3-headed monster. It's Nico, it's Tank, it's Diggs. Their offense is ran through Nico Collins. Diggs and Tank Dell, they're kind of just the icing on the cake. But the actual cake, the actual bread and butter of this team and this passing attack is this bad dude out of Michigan, Nico Collins. So take him away. You'll hopefully be winning another game here in US Bank Stadium. But number 3 for me. This will be a key to victory every single week until this stat is proven wrong. Win the turnover battle. And for another week, the chat stats live on. The Vikings are 19-0 when they win or tie the turnover battle under Kevin O'Connell. Honestly, I think this is one of the craziest stats in the league right now. I mean, the fact that, this could just be, when the Vikings win the turnover battle, they're 19-0. I feel like that's the case with most teams. But just win or tie, the fact that they're undefeated when they tie the turnover battle under KOC, I think that speaks to just how good of a coach he is. Because fumbles, interceptions, sometimes that's a little fluky, and a coach can't really control all that. But, when the Vikings do, handle the turnovers, they win football games. So win the turnover battle, and we'll be celebrating again here on Monday. Number 4 for me, let 18 dominate. Now, Justin Jefferson, he can dominate many different ways. This is either him, obviously going for 4 receptions, 133 yards like he did last week, or it could be like how he did in week 1, where he was just a distraction. He was a decoy. The Giants, they would double him. They would triple team him. And what did that lead to? Jalen Naylor, wide open touchdowns. Josh Oliver, wide open up the seam, where all the attention goes towards number 18. So if they're going one-on-one with him, which is actually something I'm very curious about, since they obviously got all types of faith in Derek Stingley, as they should. He's a fantastic corner. How good is Derek Stingley going to be against Justin Jefferson? And I'm almost hoping a little bit that the Texans kind of roll the die there a little bit and be like, hey, Stingley, we're leaving you one-on-one with the best weapon in the National Football League. And when the Vikings do have those chances, you got to make them pay for, in my opinion, it would be disrespecting, number 18 there. But last one for me, how the Vikings beat the Texans, matching their physicality. This is a physical football team, and they are just like their head coach. DeMeco Ryans, he's a physical guy. He's an intense guy, and that's how the Texans play out there on the football field. They fly around on defense. It's crisp. It's physical. They play like their hair is on fire, and I think a big way you can match the physicality, you got to run the football. Get this offensive line going downhill. Give the big boys some love, because you ask any offensive lineman, what do you prefer, run or pass blocking? Obviously, it's run blocking. So you give the big boys some love. Maybe we start off the opening drive. Maybe you got 7 rushes and only 3 passes, and you go score 7 or something like that. But, the Texans, they're going to try to assert their dominance very early in this game. How do you combat that? You give the ball to Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler and play some downhill football this Sunday. But, hey, a little longer video today. If you guys made it to the end, give me a SKOL down below in the comments section. If you guys do so, I'll show you guys some love on a future video. But also make sure you guys are following me on Twitter. I'm tweeting about the Vikes all off season and season long. If you guys could, that's a handle right there at Pat Seeps. See you guys next time. SKOL Vikes.